It's October 22nd, and this is my first video post. I can no longer keep silent. Much of what's going on in the world is wrong, and if we don't stand up and say no, things will only continue to get worse. So, there is a church of new lepers arising in response to social forces. There is a horrific political movement to treat the unvaccinated as modern-day lepers. Are the unvaccinated not spoken of by our president and much of the mainstream media as diseased? And to be avoided, they should be kept at least 6 feet apart when not quarantined to their home? At best, isn't their choice to remain unvaccinated considered antisocial behavior, and at worst, criminal? Yet the unvaccinated, though problematic, are real people who will increasingly need our help. Not so long ago, before the COVID-19 vaccine was invented, all frontline workers experiencing close social contact were treated as essential. Some became celebrated heroes while working with the sick, educating our children, protecting our citizenry, and keeping Walmart and grocery stores open. Many persevered at work after recovering from COVID-19, some died. For near the entire first pandemic year, all people were equals as unvaccinated. It was mid-December of 2020 when the FDA granted emergency use authorization of the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. First use of the limited supply of vaccine was given to our most vulnerable. In time, all who desired vaccination were able to get it free of charge. But recently, in some states and cities, it became politically mandatory to vaccinate all but the young. And it is this forceful political pressure placed upon adult persons not desiring vaccination that is problematic and cause for the Church of New Lepers to arise. So many of the new lepers, by remaining unvaccinated, are finding themselves cast out of the society they unselfishly served through our COVID-19 pandemic. If they have not already, they soon will face a day when these once essential workers no longer count as necessary. Near 20 years ago, after the tragedy of 9/11, our country was in need of heroes. So we began elevating the status of groups of people doing their jobs. Yes, I'm talking about the police and firefighters, military personnel, teachers, and healthcare workers. Back then, we began placing these professionals on a pedestal, not for any individual's heroic act accomplished, but for doing the work they chose to do. In simple terms, they became like the parent who, as a child, walked daily 5 miles uphill each way back and forth to school. Since 9/11, we practiced thinking of these professionals in mythic terms. Like we once thought of the underpaid postman who heroically did his job no matter what through rain, sleet, and snow. And I'm sure there are still people alive who remember that once upon a time in a world far, far away, even our politicians and government bureaucrats were considered slightly heroic because they served the public rather than themselves. How different are these times? Members of the Church of New Lepers will be increasing in coming days and weeks as they refuse COVID-19 vaccinations and are fired from their jobs. Many of these new lepers and their dependents will be punishingly denied unemployment and medical insurance benefits. Today in our country, in some states and cities, there are social gathering spaces the unvaccinated can't enter. Sports stadiums, restaurants, bars, to name a few. And I have even heard calls to ban the unvaccinated from hospitals if they get sick. So how many days will it be before they will be forced off of airplanes, trains, and buses? How many days will it be before they are denied entry into the department and grocery stores? This inhuman punishment meted out today is not just dessert for the unvaccinated population that has been faithfully serving the public through our pandemic. Yet even increasing punishments are not changing the stubborn unvaccinated person's behavior. So what good is continuing punishments that are making things worse? I'll venture this guess. There is a warped and satisfying feeling of spite motivating many powerful politicians and their corporate supporters. And that spite is blinding anyone supporting the punishment of the unvaccinated to the personal misery caused. Now, most vaccinated people I know are not against the unvaccinated living their life as they choose. And most vaccinated persons I know do not believe the unvaccinated should be losing their jobs. But how many people in our society, by acquiescing to the punishing authoritarian mandates of politicians, have lost their compassion for persons choosing to live different than themselves? Why are not more people yelling about the wrongs perpetrated upon the unvaccinated? Perhaps it's because things are changing so fast they can't see or believe what is really happening. Or maybe they aren't yelling because it hasn't personally affected them yet. I don't know for sure. But I do know that the unvaccinated, with their choice, are expressing a principled human stand while enduring suffering. And the Church of New Lepers is arising as a just response. As the Church of New Lepers arises, it will discover itself to be non-denominational. It will include theists, agnostics, and atheists. The only requirement for membership will be a desire to support the integrity of all persons to choose what they allow into their body. The Church of New Lepers will express no political affiliation. The Church of New Lepers will not discriminate based upon race, sex, gender, income, or vaccination status. The Church of New Lepers will support people, unvaccinated and vaccinated, as equals. Our world's new lepers will need communal support, spiritually, morally, materially. And I don't expect that support to come from the traditional religious organizations or the current godlike actors of governing institutions. Members of the Church of New Lepers deserve our support as much as members of the Church of New Science. Thank you.